action die within me. Rather, they all flow into one blessed, nirvana-like, indistinguishable unity. When the sun pours out its gold over the lake, I awaken not as a nirvana-like unity, but as a trinity of consciousness, desire, and action. This is your history in my soul, O Lord, interpreter of my life. Is not the history of my soul the interpreter of the history of everything created, everything divided, and everything united? And of you as well, my homeland, my soul is, forgive me, O Lord, the interpreter of you. O my homeland, save me from the assaults of foreigners upon me. O my light, chase the darkness out of my blood. O my life, burn up all the larvae of death in my soul and my body. Prayers by the Lake by St. Nikolai Velimirovich.
Proclaiming Christ, victor over sin and death. You're listening to Ancient Faith Radio, your Orthodox Internet radio connection.
This is Ancient Faith Today with Father Tom Soroka, a weekly live call-in show addressing the issues of our day from a distinctly Orthodox perspective. You can join the conversation by calling in at 855-237-2346. That's 855-AF-RADIO. Father Tom is the priest at St. Nicholas Orthodox Church in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and welcomes guests from across the globe to discuss important topics of interest. Here's Father Tom.
Welcome to Ancient Faith Today Live. This is Father Tom Soroka, and I'm so glad that you're with us this evening. We'll be taking your calls in a bit at 1-855-AF-RADIO. That's 1-855-237-2346. Matushka Trudy will be answering your calls tonight, so please make sure to turn the show volume off before you come on air. Now, to participate online, the show is being streamed live right now on the AFM Facebook and YouTube pages. You can make comments there, but you can also send us a text message to 412-206-5012. Send us a text right from your phone to 412-206-5012. And of course, as always, you can send us an email at aft@ancientfaith.com. So let's get started. In 2019, in September, an amazing thing happened when many of the departments of the various churches in America, the Orthodox churches in America, got together to discuss the issue of homelessness and how the church would respond. And one of the topics that came up was the need for an Orthodox Christian Volunteer Corps. The response was the Assembly of Canonical Orthodox Bishops commissioned a task force to make a study. And what happened was many of the leaders in America who know about such issues got together, and in January of 2001, the Orthodox Volunteer Corps was born. And then in the fall of 2022, the first cohort of the Orthodox Volunteer Corps was sent to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I'm happy to say that I'm sitting here with 6 amazing young people that are the first cohort of the Orthodox Volunteer Corps. And it is the couple of days before Thanksgiving, and I'm amazed because they are getting ready to leave for a short break to go to their various homes. Some of them are going to be getting up at 3:30 in the morning. It's 9 o'clock here in Pittsburgh, and it's going to be pretty tough for them, but I'm very appreciative of their time. And so before we introduce the first cohort of the Orthodox Volunteer Corps, the first thing I want to do is introduce the CEO. of the Orthodox Volunteer Corps, and that is Michael Siderose. Michael, welcome to Ancient Faith Today.
Thank you so much, Father Tom.
I'm so glad that you're here with us. And this was really, I would say, your brainchild. You are really the driving force of the Orthodox Volunteer Corps, you and Kira Limberakis. And I know that this is a mission that is very near and dear to your heart. Tell us how this came about.
So this organization came about, as you mentioned, Father, from a gathering a number of years ago in which some folks were thinking about what does it take to have Orthodox folks prepared to address the social issues of our day, not just homelessness, but whatever social issue may emerge. And what people began to say is that we need folks who are trained both, in their heart and in their mind and in their hands, that they are ready to address the issues, but are also rooted in a firm grounding of orthodoxy. And so from that series of meetings, OVC formed.
Excellent. And how did you begin to get the word out about OVC? And of course, this, tell us a little bit about how the mechanics work. In other words, you took applications. Is there, and I don't want to get too much into the making of the sausage, but obviously there's a stipend that is paid to these young people so that they can live, and you've provided a beautiful home for them, actually in one of the areas in Pittsburgh that is greatly in need of work. We're in the north side here, and tell us a little bit about how the process went.
Let me just say a word about the program so you have a sense of kind of what it's about, and then the core members who are here are going to be able to give more texture to all of this.
Great.
So OVC is an opportunity, an opportunity to have a 10-month immersion so that you can develop head, heart, and hand. And we do that through 4 pillars of the program. So the first is service. This program is rooted in service. So folks who join the program spend 10 months working 4 days a week, doing service work at placements with neighbors who are most vulnerable, who are most in need. So it is both a challenge and an incredible opportunity to grow. Service is the first pillar. The second pillar is formation. So 1 day a week, we break from service placements and we have a seminar together in which we do 2 main things. We dig into orthodoxy and we dig into community-based leadership development. The third pillar is community. And so folks live together, the core members live together in this house right here. And that community has been a powerful movement of growth and of discovery, I believe, for the core members. We'll hear about that. The final pillar is church. We ground all of this in the life and the movement of the church. And so being grounded in that is essential to the program.
I was just going to ask you, because it's really fascinating. When you think about volunteer corps, for instance, my oldest daughter was in AmeriCorps for 2 years, but there was no leadership training. There was, and certainly there was no religious training. So how does that work in the program?
Say 2 things about that. The first is that if you are serving on the front lines with folks who are in need, there will absolutely be challenges. We knew that we needed to have an opportunity for folks to come back and reflect on what that meant, to provide support for folks, right? So that was critical to this. The second thing I'll say is that it is not enough as Orthodox Christians to simply serve. That is essential. That is part of our calling. However, if we do not take the time to reflect on what it means to be an Orthodox Christian serving, if we do not take the time to reflect on what is an Orthodox ethos of service, if we don't take the time to reflect on the history of our tradition and the service that is present there and the meaning of all of that, then we have lost an incredible opportunity, right? So the component of reflection of formation is really critical to the program.
This is really a groundbreaking program, and it's very exciting. Let's now turn the program over to really those who are focused in the work and all of this amazing formation that's going on. So Anastasia, Eliza, Ella, Evan, Michael, Noah, and Paige, welcome to Ancient Faith Today. So good to have you all here. What we're going to do, maybe we could have each one of you introduce yourself. And as I said, and I have to tell you, for everybody that is listening in, so I'm actually in the home that they're living in. So you might hear a little bit of an echo. I'm not in my studio as I usually am. That's okay, because we're here together live. We're enjoying a little bit of the beverage of the vine here to kind of loosen up our tongues a little bit and to kind of get us ready for speaking to the world here. So what let's start with Anastasia. Tell us about yourself, where you're from. Tell us a little bit about your schooling, and what are you hoping to gain from this experience?
Ooh, I am from Tennessee, about 30 miles south of Nashville. I went to school at Middle Tennessee State University. I got to major in vocal general music education, which was wonderful and quite a busy ride. I think I'm hoping from my time in OVC, I'm hoping to gain kind of both a greater understanding of what impacts vulnerable communities and what Orthodox Christians on the ground can do to kind of serve vulnerable communities, and then also to develop my own spiritual life and my own ethos of service to all of our neighbors.
I love it. Thank you so much. And as a fellow music major, I find it amazing that you were studying music, but then you decided you wanted to do something really very powerful to start your career. So I think this is going to give you a lot of perspective on the work that you'll do in the future. Thanks so much. Eliza, let's go next to you. And we're passing the mic over to Eliza. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hi, Father. My name is Eliza. I am, funnily enough, also from Tennessee. I actually have the same home parish as Anastasia.
Oh,
so
wow.
we knew one another reasonably well. Actually, we were roommates before we were even here. So I know Anastasia pretty well. She's from my home parish. I also went to Middle Tennessee State University, but I studied international relations, which is like a branch of political science. Yeah. And what I want to get from OVC, I think I was really looking prior to coming to OVC for a way to serve, neighbor and God. And I really wanted to get a foundation in that so that I could, work in Orthodox nonprofits for as long as God will let me. That's really what I want to do. And so I'm hoping from OVC to get all of that professional development and training, which thank God I am. It's been really beautiful, and I feel a lot more equipped already to serve in that realm for the rest of my life. And then also just growing spiritually. It's been really beautiful living in community, and I feel like I'm already grown a lot, and I'm really grateful for it. And
thank God, because I have to tell you, I don't want to embarrass all of you, but it was so inspiring because you said, hey, we have to do our prayers before we have the show tonight. And I heard these beautiful sounds coming from the other room where you were singing and praying together, where you were really sincerely interceding for people by name, people that you had met, parishes that you had been in, the monastery, the people in your neighborhood. It was just so inspiring, and I can't, I really can't describe how I felt witnessing that. So thank you for allowing me to be with you today. Ella, welcome to Ancient Faith Today. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you went to school and what you hope to get from the program.
Hi, Father. So yes, I'm Ella. I went to school in Virginia, a small school called Washington and Lee University. I studied cognitive and behavioral science, and I am just really grateful that OVC ended up being an option for me. I was really looking for a program that would really bring together my interests in service as well as faith. I was really trying to bridge those things together in a really intentional, long-lasting way. in college. Obviously, it's hard to engage in communities the ways that I had always kind of hoped I would. And I was really looking to ground myself in a community and get to know a place and its people, and how all of that relates to my faith, and carrying it out on a day-to-day basis.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
So,
I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself. And I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean Michael. I apologize. Noah.
Noah. Okay.
Hi, Noah. Thank you very much.
Hi. Thank you for having us, Father Tom. So my name's Noah. I'm the one core member who has been in Pittsburgh before coming here for OVC. I went to school at Pitt for 4 years. I studied human resources. And that's actually where I encountered the Orthodox Church for the first time. I converted in my last year at college. I just got chrismated this past Holy Saturday. Close enough. Okay. I just got chrismated this past Holy Saturday.
Wow.
And I think the reason I applied to OVC is because I was looking for my next step. And this was the one that God put in my lap. There wasn't much else. So this was the path available to me. But then the reason that I wanted to be in it, and the reason that I think I'm here, is to learn how to be a Christian on a daily basis, because I didn't grow up in a Christian home.
Wow.
I didn't really know what that meant, besides when I was in liturgy and at fellowship hour afterwards, talking to people who had grown up in the faith and who had lived that life for much longer than I had. So it's really been a blessing to be here among all of these, my devout housemates here, and learning how to pray, learning what it means to ask for forgiveness from each other. And many other beautiful things. So I thank God for that.
What an amazing statement, because I'm hearing in you, from you, what I'm starting to hear from people that are visiting the church. It's very interesting. So a little bit of a history lesson here. 20 years ago, the people that were coming to our church were basically former evangelical Christians. And of course, that's still kind of a lot of what we're seeing. But now the people that we're seeing are like you. They didn't grow up in a Christian home. They didn't grow up being exposed to faith, any kind of faith, in anything. And so we're having to, I think what's amazing about it is that we are having to encounter people and throw away our preconceived notions and our assumptions about people and say, this is what it is to believe in God. This is what it is to live a Christian life. And so, when you're saying, like, I'm learning how to be a Christian, I can tell you, you're learning in really the best laboratory you could, with people your age, with people that are committed to Christ. And so may God bless you to do that. Evan, I apologize. I skipped over you, but tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your schooling, and what you hope to get out of this experience.
Sure. Well, my name's Evan, and I'm from the Atlanta area in Georgia, Northeast Atlanta, but I went to college over at the University of North Texas, and I started my time out there as a music major in trombone, but I ended up switching over and getting a degree in communication studies and a minor in Spanish. And so I moved pretty far to get over to college, and then I had a summer at home after graduation, and then I moved pretty far again to get up here to Pittsburgh. So I've been on a bit of a cross-country trip for the last couple of years. And here feels like the most important stop on that trip, but it also feels like the culmination of a lot of things that happened while I was on that trip. And I think that's the key to what I want to get out of OVC, which is that, especially over the course of college, I had a beautiful opportunity to be involved in a great parish life, but also to be involved in Orthodox ministries like OCF, and especially Youth Equipped to Serve under Focus North America left a really big impact on me as far as its emphasis on the service component of Christianity and how important it is to live the gospel and bring it to people who are in need, people who are suffering, or people just who you might not know that they have a need. Like even if it's a neighbor who's feeling lonely, that is the type of person that we're called to bring the gospel to. Right. And so I had that, that God brought that into my life, and God brought me my life in the parish, and there was service happening there too. But I was also in college at that time. And so I had this excellent question. It's like, how do I integrate all of that? How do I integrate this, study that I know I'm called to, and it's important for me to be there in college, but also there's something so deep and compelling and important happening at my parish and also in my involvement in these other ministries. And that was kind of an open question, was how does all this fit together? And then over the course of my last year in college, I, through OCF, got in contact with Michael, who introduced me to OVC. And that just seemed like the answer of how everything comes together, or at least an opportunity to experience something where the integration of all of that is just set up for me. And I'm in awe that that was available to me, like right when I was asking that question. And I'm so grateful, and that's exactly what it has been. And so now that I'm here, I'm doing my best to trust what God is doing here. And I can't say I perfectly understand how everything fits together yet, but I definitely do better than when I arrived here. And so I'm going to just trust that God will keep that coming, and that by the end of the 10 months, who knows where we'll be.
So you guys have been going for about 2.5 months now, something like that, right?
Going on 3. Yeah. By the time we get back from Thanksgiving break, it will have been 3 months.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Paige?
Yes. Hello, Father. My name is Paige Zakaria. I'm from Minnesota originally, from southeastern Minnesota. And I went to college at the University of Minnesota Duluth, up in the Northland. And what I majored in was biology, and I was kind of in the pre-med route. And I think what brought me to OVC was nearing the end of my college career. I kind of realized that I wanted, and I needed a year to just go and explore what it looks like to live a life of service and to have a career of service to vulnerable and to underserved populations and communities, because that's kind of what I wanted to do with in the pre-med track anyways. Wow, in really? College. Yeah. And so OVC presented itself, and I thought that it was just such a cool opportunity to go and to actually work with underserved communities and to like get to know what that's like and to connect it really deeply with faith, and also it just seemed like a really great way to grow in my faith as well, because I, like Noah, converted pretty soon before OVC started. So I was chrismated on August 19th, and then OVC started on August 29th.
Wow.
So
that's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yes.
But I can't imagine a better formation again. I think that's just really amazing. Well, God bless you. God bless you. So, Michael, one of the things that happens is that you have partner, what do you call them, businesses or organizations that you work with, right? Now, how many organizations are the members of the cohort working with?
So we have 4 different placement partners. There are 2 placements where we have 2 core members placed. One is at the Neighborhood Resilience Project, which of course is an Orthodox organization based in the Hill District here. The other one where we have 2 folks placed is the Oasis Project. It's connected to Bible Center Church in the Homewood neighborhood, again here in Pittsburgh. And then we got 1 person placed at the Pittsburgh Project on the north side here, and then 1 person placed at Shepherd's Heart, a homeless ministry.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is maybe there must be, what, 3 of you at 1 or 2 of you at 2, something like that. I'd like to get an idea of what a typical day is like, although maybe there's not a typical day. But tell us maybe some of the more interesting things that you might be doing right now in your work with these organizations. And we'll just kind of throw it open. Who would like to go first? Tell us, like, what is a typical day like in the organization that you're working with?
So this is Evan again, and I'm placed at Shepherd's Heart, the homeless ministry. And my day actually starts first in our house because Shepherd's Heart opens up to the community at 7:30. So typically I'm up around 5:30, and I take public transport over to Shepherd's Heart to get started over there.
Wow.
And the ministry that we have is a drop-in center. That's where I do most of my work.
What does that mean, drop-in center?
So it means that at 7:30, the doors are open to the public. And so anybody in the neighborhood, especially the folks who live out on the street or are otherwise struggling in some sort where they have a need for what we have, which is a continental breakfast and a like coffee, tea, refreshments, clean clothes, and showers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And also just an opportunity to like be inside out of the cold, which is especially important during the winter months. And so folks can come in, and then of course they can access all of the resources that Shepherd's Heart has. And also there's offered like an Anglican morning office of prayer around 8 a.m. every morning. And so they have the opportunity to hear some scripture as well as some of the Anglican prayers while they're there. And then, so it's just open for a couple hours, and it's really interesting because it's wide open. So sometimes people come in and they really want to talk and they really want to share their struggles. Yeah. And, Shepherd's Heart isn't exactly like a social service organization. So we don't have social workers employed there, and the staff do have connections to organizations like that, but it's not primarily a resource center, which was a part that I thought it was going to be that. I was expecting okay, this is how we get these people hooked up with housing, with, basic necessities and other things they need to get on their feet, like getting into rehab, possibly if they have a problem with substance abuse. And that's there, but that's actually not the primary thing, which was the most surprising part to me that I'm still getting used to.
Right.
But the mission at Shepherd's Heart, as I've been learning, is actually to give people a space where they're known and where they're seen for who they are and they're loved for who they are. And they know that somebody is always going to be there for them, because a lot of the folks that come in have not experienced that in their life much, if at all. And I've been learning that God's call is for us to, for example, there's somebody who I've been getting to know who comes into the center every day, and his name's Andres. And now I've realized that Andres isn't just a representative of the general population of people in need that Christians are called to care about. Like Christ says, as much as you did it to one of these, my brethren, the naked, the hungry, the thirsty, the homeless, you did it to me. And so you have this general population. And then Andres, at first I could have looked at him as a manifestation of that general group. Right. And that's okay. But what I'm realizing is that God's call is to see him as Andres. And because God sees him as Andres, and God sees him as this specific person who he created and he formed and who maybe has suffered a lot, but God still loves him as much as he loves anybody else. And that at Shepherd's Heart, the whole point is to enter into that and to start to see, oh, this isn't just like a homeless person. This is Andres, and he doesn't have a home for these reasons that happened in his life. And now he's coming to us, and there's an opportunity there to extend the love of Christ to him. And that that might lead to linking somebody with social services. It might not. But it's the most important thing that we have to offer there. And I think God is revealing that that's the most important thing in general when we're serving people as Orthodox Christians, is to found everything on that recognition of the person who God made and God loves, and who you can, like, as an Orthodox Christian, experience real communion with, if you invite God to be there with you in the moment. And so that I would say is like the feature of my work that is the most
It's fascinating, because when we deal with people that are homeless or that have a sort of a difficult life, I think our first inclination is we want to fix them, right? We want to direct them to the resources. We want to get them this or get them that. But what you're saying is you really want to have an encounter with this person so that they know that they are loved by God and valued.
Yeah. What comes to my mind is, imagine a moment, like anybody can imagine a moment, or most people can, I should say, when somebody just like looked at you or shared a moment with you where you felt seen, you felt loved, you felt acknowledged, and they extended the love of Christ to you in that moment. And think about like what that did for you, even if they didn't offer you anything like material or physical or anything like that. Like, you just received the love of Christ. And I don't know, when I've been in that kind of moment, when somebody extends that to me, it just fills me with everything that I need right then, that I didn't even get directly from them, but they, like, God's grace worked through them. And then who knows what God will do with that. And so sometimes these people, if they experience that love of Christ, they can do wonders without you doing it for them. Like, because God gives it to them in that moment. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Evan. That was really pretty amazing testimony to what you're doing and how you're learning to change your perception about that kind of ministry. All right. We are at the bottom of the hour. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to ask more about what the cohort members are doing in their daily work. We want to remind you that you can give us a call. Maybe you're interested in this kind of work. Maybe you would like to apply for the next cohort of OVC. I know they have a lot to say about that. And actually, we have a text message came in, which is a really good question. We're going to get to that. But for now, give us a call at 1-855-AF-RADIO or send us a text message to 412-206-5012. You are listening to Ancient Faith Today. We're talking all things OVC, and we will be right back.
Father Tom will be back in a moment. In the meantime, the lines are open at 855-237-2346. Don't go away.
Jesus' last words to his disciples were, "Go and make disciples of all the nations." Unfortunately, many parishes are struggling to follow this commandment. In Reclaiming the Great Commission, Father Evan Armatas offers a roadmap to help us get back on track. Relying on his 20 years of parish experience, Holy Scripture, and insights from research and his visits with churches across the U.S., he discusses how you and your community can implement changes that will transform, revitalize, and renew your parish. You'll learn how to diagnose and remove the barriers you face, deal with resistance to change, define what a healthy parish looks like, lead with purpose, and create a parish health plan. Written for clergy, council members, ministry leaders, small groups, and all committed parishioners, this book will help any church in its journey to reclaim the Great Commission. Purchase it today at store.ancientfaith.com.
We're back with Ancient Faith Today and Father Tom Soroka. Give us a call at 855-237-2346. Here once again is Father Tom.
Welcome back. This is Father Tom Soroka with Ancient Faith Today, and we're talking all things OVC, Orthodox Volunteer Corps. We're talking with the inaugural cohort of OVC and all the good work that they're doing here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Next, we have Eliza, and we're going to talk a little bit about what she's doing in her work. Tell us a little bit about what your day is like.
Yeah, so it's funny because Evan just went and he's got the earliest day, but I have one of the latest days, if not the latest day. So I get up kind of late. Well, not I get up reasonably early because we do prayers, but then I leave the house at like 10, so pretty late. And I go into the office, and sometimes I do farm work because there's an urban farm right outside of our office, and I help a little bit with that. But often I'll just do office work. I'll get programs for the kids ready, and then around 2 or 3, I go and I work with children for an after school program.
Wow.
And so I will, sometimes I'm just a counselor for them basically. And so I help them with their homework, and then we go and we do like a STEAM based activity. So something kind of science or technology based. We'll get them dinner, and sometimes I also get to cook with them. So we'll take like produce from our farm and we'll do a program with them where we're cooking and we're talking about like healthy foods and, good choices and all of those things. So it's a lot of fun. I love so much spending time with these kids. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And is that something that you want to pursue in your life after OVC?
So it's funny. If I'm being honest, I was disappointed when they placed me at the after school program. I know this is a hot take, but I wanted to be at the Orthodox program, like at NRP, and I was like, oh, darn, like, I don't really know how to work with kids. I worked with them a little bit, but that's not my thing. And now, Father, oh my goodness, I love these children so much. In the community in Homewood, that's the neighborhood that my organization is in, and it's a really struggling neighborhood. There's a lot of like gun violence and like drugs and poverty and homicide and lots of horrible things that these kids are exposed to. But they'll call the adults, like in the church, will call like all the kids in the neighborhood, they'll call them the babies. That's how they refer to these kids. And I really like kind of have come to identify with that, like just like I understand what they mean. And so I love these kids so much. They almost are kind of like my babies. I call them that sometimes. And I, funnily enough, have started being like, should I like get a teaching license and just stay here and work with these kids forever? Which I never would have wanted to do, but now I'm like sort of like it's in my head now. So yeah.
God knows us better than we know ourselves.
He does indeed. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Before we go on, Ella, were you going to go next? I'm sorry. I wasn't sure if you were going to go. Okay, Paige. So let's hold on here. We actually have a caller. Now, you guys can't hear the call. Unfortunately, that's my fault. I don't have a speaker for you. But let's take the caller, Matushka Trudy. I think it's Father John. Father John, welcome to Ancient Faith Today. You're on the line with the OVC cohort.
Thank you, Father Tom. Thank you for your good work.
Thank you,
and,
Father.
Yes, of course. And it has been a joy so far to hear the names and the stories of the first cohort. And I feel personally invested. And so I just want to be mindful of all those suffering family members back home who had to let the first cohort go, and how excruciating that was to watch them fly away, seeing as how my daughter Anastasia is sitting. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So we're enduring. Yeah, we are enduring back here, knowing that they're up to good.
She's shaking her head right now. Now, unfortunately, Father, she can't hear you. Wait, I'm going to give her the headphones here. Hold on one second. I'm going to talk to your dad for a minute here. Hold on. Switch your headphones on.
Okay.
Hi, sweetie.
Hi, Daddy. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Oh, that's good. Are you getting enough rest? You're drinking water, taking care of yourself, I hope?
All the things. Uh-huh.
All right, very good. So here's my question for the cohort, anyone in the cohort. You have packed a lot of living into a short amount of time, and I would imagine that some of what you discovered when you got to Pittsburgh fit your expectations, but some things you are learning as you go. So my question is, what would you tell, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself of 3 or 4 months ago just as you were going into the program?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so the rest of the cohort can't hear what you're saying because we don't have a speaker right now, but I'm going to open the floor to everybody. And
That sounds
Father's
good. I'll get
question
off-
is
I'll listen off the line.
Father's question is, knowing what we know now, having been in OVC for, about 3 months, what would we have told ourselves going into OVC?
All right. So you heard the question. You heard the question, and that is, what, now that you know what this is like, what would you have told yourself, or what would you have done differently? Is that the issue here?
That's right.
Who wants to go first?
Shoot.
All right. No, go ahead.
Everybody pointed at me. So now I got the microphone. Well, I don't really know. Oh, this is Noah. Yeah, this is Noah. I don't know if I could give myself any advice besides keeping an open mind and open heart, because this experience has been just so much more than I could have hoped for. But I would say that on the first day, the people you're getting in the van with to go to the Antiochian village are a lot less scary than they seem. And you'll get to know them much better. So keep an open mind and open heart.
Good, good. Anybody else? Ella? Nope. Paige?
I think I would just say that I would have told myself that you're going to learn a lot and you're going to grow a lot more than you expect. Just being in like a wonderful community and doing wonderful work and having wonderful opportunities for growing and learning new things.
Before Father John goes, Father, thank you very much for supporting the program, obviously. And I know it was very difficult for parents to see their children leave the home, but I can tell you that Anastasia is being very well taken care of. She has, I can also tell you she's been to our parish several times. She's come to Bible study. And she's really doing a wonderful job here. So these are very, very fine young people. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say hi, Father John. And for those who don't know, Father John's my spiritual father. So hello, Father. It's good to hear from you.
Good.
Nice to hear you.
Go ahead, Father John.
Yeah, I can't imagine a better program for them all to be participating in. So it is a special joy to hear their work, and may it be blessed, truly, truly. Thank you all.
All right, everybody say bye to Father John.
Bye. I'll see you in 5 hours.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so we were talking about the work that we're doing. Who else would like to tell us a little bit about your day? Paige?
Sure. I guess I also got elected. What I do every day, I work in the Free Health Center at the Neighborhood Resilience Project. And it's a health center that that provides primary care to individuals who are uninsured and just don't have health insurance. And so it would be very hard for them to afford any kind of health care, if not for clinics such as ours. And I am kind of doing a lot of things for these patients, such as just like scheduling them, helping them apply for financial assistance, coordinating referrals to outside specialists if they need like special procedures or checkups with other doctors. I kind of help out in the clinic on the days when the clinicians are in or when the physicians are in to help like patients get checked in or help them like take their vitals and stuff like that. But I also man the fax machine and the phones. Yeah, but it's just been a really, really very interesting exposure to the healthcare system and to how it can be really difficult for some people to really have like to navigate this really complicated system, especially with all of the high costs that can often be involved.
Right.
So it's been a very growing experience, and I've really enjoyed getting to know the patients and the doctors that we've been working with. And yeah, it's been so great to work at the Neighborhood Resilience Project, just as it's an Orthodox ministry.
Yeah, and of course, for our listeners that don't know, the Neighborhood Resilience Project started as Focus Pittsburgh, and then it grew so tremendously, and so many corporate sponsors and businesses in Pittsburgh wanted to support the really good work of the folks there, that they spun off and they became the Neighborhood Resilience Project, which it truly is resilient, and it truly is providing trauma-based care to the people in the Hill District, which is, of course, historically a Black neighborhood that is really, definitely below the poverty line. All right. So finally, Ella, tell us a little bit about what is your work that you do there.
Yeah, so I've been placed at the Pittsburgh Project, and it's a local an organization that's local to where we're living. So it's over in the north side,
great.
And it primarily serves kids who go to schools in this area as well. And so it's an after-school program similar to what Eliza's doing. We pour a lot of love and support these kids in any way that we can when they walk through our doors. So I do a lot of work primarily on homework. So I get to do a lot of fun. Yeah, I get to do a lot of fun activities with them after homework as well. So we do like engineering and art, and we'll do active play, or like sometimes imaginative play. So there's a variety of different enrichment activities that we get to bring to the table and let them figure out what their passions are, and in a really like nurturing environment. So it's been really beautiful to like develop those relationships with the kids, to see them progress in their schoolwork, but also in their relationships with one another, and just it's been really beautiful to get to know them, and I'm excited for the year to come and just all that I'll be able to learn from them.
That's
in
awesome.
This upcoming year.
Were you all able to choose your placement, or were they just placed? Michael, how did that work? Were they placed?
Yeah, so the way it works is that we make sure that everybody gets to interview with at least 2 placement partners prior to the beginning of the program. And that way, both the core member and the placement partner can find a really good match. So that's how it happened.
Good. Excellent. So we've been talking a lot about the, this idea of the work that you're doing in the community. Now, Evan, you were very articulate about how your faith interfaced with your work, and how you are seeing Christ in these people and bringing Christ to them. I wanted to ask all of you, not so much about your work, but maybe how your work and your experience is informing and maybe growing and maybe deepening your faith. And I know that's a difficult question, because number one, you may not really be able to speak about this for years, right? You won't really know until you go back and you say, this is how it changed me. So we're only a few months into this, but can any of you tell me, what is this doing, if you will? What is this doing to your faith? Does anyone have thoughts on that? Is it challenging your faith? Is it deepening your faith? Is it making you see your faith differently? Who would like to speak on that a little bit? Anybody? I'm going to pick somebody. All right. Paige?
I don't want to hog the microphone too much, so I'm sorry to my other core members, but yeah, but this is something that I've actually been very impacted in. I think OVC has really opened up to me how much of our faith is about loving other people, and how much that is like loving other people and about loving God, how much that is the core of what it means to be an Orthodox Christian. Because with some of the seminars that we've had, the Friday seminars where we learn about theology and service and stuff like that, we learned a bit about like the theology of what it means to serve other people, and a lot of it is we are meant to go out and see other people as the image of Christ, and to really just like see them as they truly are, and try and open our hearts to them, and love them as like we pour ourselves into them and they pour themselves into us. And
interesting.
Yeah.
So it's reciprocal.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, and in a lot of the examples that our speakers at seminars have given about like what it truly means to serve people around you and love your neighbor is like when you just go and you see them as the image of God, and you can take on their suffering if they have suffering to give you, and so just having all of this like learning about the theology of service and about what it means to love other people and to love God and to be in communion and union with others, and how that really is at the core of service, that has been impacting my faith deeply, just in reinforcing how much loving others is critical, and how to love others.
Paige, thank you so much, because what you're saying is actually a very mature Orthodox Christian position. So I'm going to just reflect on this for a second, because as a parish priest and of course you've seen the area that our parish is in, that parish, my particular parish was built 108 years ago, and that neighborhood was very different. It was full of Slavic people. It was full of people that mostly were Orthodox Christians. So that neighborhood kind of was the parish, right? And that parish was the neighborhood. As the neighborhood changed, people were coming in from the suburbs, and they forgot that there was a neighborhood around them to serve, right? They were the people that were being passed up on the way to church. And so what we've been able to do slowly but surely is remind people of exactly what you said, these two important commandments. Yeah, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. I mean, that's why we go to worship. That's, studying theology and so forth. But love your neighbor as yourself. And St. John says, if you say you love God and hate your neighbor, you are a liar, right? That's what he says. So thank you for articulating that so beautifully. Who else would like to talk a little bit about what this experience has done to your faith or in your faith, how it's changed your faith? Anastasia?
Oh, yes, Father. At the beginning of OVC, I kind of sat down with God, and I asked for him to kind of clean me up inside. If I'm a mess, I can't serve other people well. If I don't have the presence of Christ, then I can't bring the presence of Christ where I go. And I won't be able, either to receive it from the people I meet who carry it also. Let me tell you, be careful what you pray for. Um, in my work, in my life, in my church life and community life, God has sent me good struggle, life-giving struggle, to root out all of the things in me which don't belong, all of the things which might get between me and my neighbor, all of the things which might keep me from really, really loving the people around me, Christ, and the people around me in the image of Christ in the people around me, wherever they are. So God answers prayers. And it's been it's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable gift. Even the hard moments, even the moments when God's, kind of pulling thorns out of your heart and thistles and things which don't belong in the garden of the heart. It hurts a lot, especially if they're deeply rooted, but there is so much life in getting rid of those things and having the empty spaces, which are left filled with seeds, which God willing will be watered and in time will grow.
Excellent. All right, last question, and we're already out of time. It's amazing how fast this went. So a question came in via text, and it says, I would love to know, what do the current core members hope for the next OVC cohort? What do the current core members hope for the next OVC cohort? Now, again, you're not finished yet, right? So your answer might be different in another 8 months, but right now, and we're just going to kind of go around the horn, all right? What do you hope, or what do you want to tell the next cohort? And then we're going to ask Michael to talk about how you can apply. Noah?
Sure. I think we've talked about this a few times in the cohort. I think the number one thing that we can take away already is the value of communal prayer. There was a moment, the very first night we were at Antiochian Village on our retreat that kicked off our start here at OBC, where Eliza suggested that we all do Compline together because it had been so beautiful for her in Project Mexico. And I remember thinking in my heart, like, oh man, we have to pray some more. Because I actually hadn't really ever done Compline before. I wasn't familiar with it. And I'm so glad we did it, because that experience of doing it, all 6 of us together in the chapel there at Antiochian Village, was so beautiful. And since then, that really has been a binding agent for us to do that. We do it every night, or we try to at least every night before we go to bed. And if we don't do Compline, we do at least some kind of evening prayer service together with praying and singing. And we added on to that also first hour in the morning. And I think starting the day and ending it both with communal prayer has been just so tremendously life-giving. And I can't really speak to how it impacts our lives, but I know that we all appreciate it. And there's a lot of grace and a lot of beauty that comes in through that. And I don't think we'd be the same 6 people and the same community we are here in the house without that prayer cycle. So
good for you. God bless you. What an excellent reminder that everybody needs to remember that this is the prayer is what binds you together. All right, Ella, tell us what's going on. Oh, the question is, what do you hope for the next cohort? What would you like to tell them, about how to get the most out of this particular experience? Eliza?
Yeah. All right. So what I hope for the next cohort is kind of basically what Noah said, but I guess I'll go in a little bit of a different direction. Okay, actually, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Forgive me. We've talked a lot this year about what it means to be the body of Christ and the many ways that is true, and like the way that it relates to the Eucharist. And I mean, we can't go into all of the discussions we've had here, but I've really felt in these 3 months that, in little ways, we have kind of become like one. Yeah, we're one household, and the prayer has kind of bound us together, and receiving the Eucharist and all of that has bound us together in Christ. And so I would really pray and hope that the next cohort also experiences this, and that they're also able to be one in Christ and to experience grace and unity and unity of will. I think that was another thing that we talked about recently, is that that real unity is happening when people start acting with one will. And I think that when we encounter homeless people, or when we're doing prayers, or, just little moments, I'm starting to see us sort of having one will. And so I would love, it's my deepest prayer that the next cohort also is able to have this kind of community life and be one in Christ.
Good. Evan?
Yeah. I am so glad that Noah and Eliza said that, because really our household and our experience here wouldn't be the same without that life that we share together that's rooted in prayer. And I guess I'll also say, what I would like to say to the next cohort is that whatever God has in store for you, whoever the next cohort might be, is also unique to you. Like, you're not just carrying on what we have started this year. Of course, God willing, and by the grace of God, us six, we're trying to lay a strong foundation for the future of OVC and to do our best to steward this opportunity that we have. But let's say another cohort of 6 comes together. God loves all of you and has as much in store for you personally as he does for any of us. And I would just encourage anybody thinking of applying for OVC to really know that, and to really trust in that if you apply to OVC, you're not just going to become like the follow-up to the first cohort. You're going to become a unique group that God is leading into whatever his will is for you, which is just as personal and loving and full of unpredictable wonder that it is as it is for anybody else. I would love to tell the next cohort that, and really encourage them to consider OVC in that light.
Good.
Because
good. That's a really good answer. Paige, what do you hope for the next cohort?
I would say for the next cohort, just invest in the community that you have around you, whether it's like the other 5 or however many members that are living in the house with you. Like, have meals together, like others have said, do prayers, and invest in your church community, and also just be really open to how other people, the people around you, are going to teach you new things, and really like change your heart, I guess, is what I've experienced. Whether it's the people that you work with in the community, your coworkers, the other core members, or like other church members, just go into it with an open heart to others.
Good. Thank you very much. Anastasia, what is your hope for the next cohort? What advice would you want to give them?
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. I would second everything that everyone at this table has said. And also, the community and the unity and full investment and the participation. And then I would just add to take time and open your heart, to just soak in all of the joy of this time, which we have here. There is so much, just boundless joy and grace in living this kind of life and living together, in Orthodox community. And God continues to multiply that the longer the time we spend together. So open your hearts and your hands and receive all of the joy which he brings.
Thank you so much. Finally, Ella, what words of wisdom do you have for the next cohort?
I would really echo just everything that's already been said. But one thing that, this is similar to what Anastasia just said, but just continue to notice and observe everything that's going on around you. notice and know the things that are happening in the house, in the community. When you're at church, just continue to observe and take it in, and don't let the present moment slip away. Just really take it in and be there for all of it with open arms, just what Anastasia said.
That's a really, really good reflection, because often, I think especially you guys graduated from college, you had been there for 4 years. By the 4th year, you're like, okay, we're out of here, right? And so it's so easy in life to not be, as exactly you said, not be in the moment. And that is really an important part even of our patristic tradition, that you have to be present with someone, with something, when you are worshiping, worship. When you are eating, eat. When you're talking, talk, right? This is all very, very important. So what you're saying is very wise. So finally, we're going to go to Michael. And what we want to hear, Michael, is, first of all, how do you think it's going so far? And tell us about how, if someone is interested, how are they going to apply?
Ella just said, don't let this moment slip by. I believe that we at OVC are at a critical moment now. So we had this vision for a pilot program in Pittsburgh, right? And we are now about 3 months into that vision. And I believe what has happened in this first 3 months is profound. If what you heard in the past 45 minutes, right? If you think you heard in this past 45 minutes something important about service happening, if you heard something important about community life happening, if you heard something important about people's faith growing, I think you would agree that we are at a critical moment. And where we're poised now is we can now have the chance to grow this program from this initial 6 folks. We think next year we could reach 30 with both a full-time and a part-time program occurring next year. And so how can people get involved if we're at that moment? This is a moment where we need other folks to be involved. One way is, if you know someone who would be interested in applying to the program, connect with us, nominate them, reach out to us on our website. We are recruiting now for the second cohort. We are getting nominations and we're excited about it. Secondly, right, if you know folks who are interested in hearing more about this program, right, connect us to them. If you are a young adult, 21 to 29 years old, and you are interested in this program, interested in what you heard tonight, apply to the program on our website. And finally, we need the resources to make this program grow. If you are interested in supporting this program, go online to our website. We would be grateful.
Yeah, and Giving Tuesday is coming up. So we want to remind everybody, go to orthodoxvolunteercorps.org. Go to the bottom of the page, click on donate, give a donation to this very, very, very worthy cause. Did you say, and I apologize if I missed it, where is the next cohort going to be located?
So it will also be here in Pittsburgh,
okay,
right? And we're going to have both full-time and a new part-time program right here in Pittsburgh. More on that to come.
Promise that. Can I come back and talk to the next cohort?
Absolutely, Father.
All right. I love it. All right. So Anastasia, Eliza, Ella, Evan, Noah, Paige, and of course, Michael Sider-Rose. Thank you all so much. For those of you that are going home, safe trip to you. May God bless everything that you're doing. May God continue to bless you. We are all so proud of you. Your parents are proud of you. The Orthodox Church in Pittsburgh and really all of America is very proud of you. So may your tribe increase. And Michael, thank you for everything that you're doing. So before we sign off tonight, I want to thank all of our guests that joined us. I want to offer my sincere thanks to OVC for allowing us to come in to their home to talk a little bit about the program. Thanks to Matushka Trudy for engineering the program. Thanks to our production assistant, Melissa Graff, for her work behind the scenes, for everybody that listened in, for our callers, for our texters, everybody that will be listening. I wanted to read a very brief quote from St. Clement of Rome. This is very early. He was 1st century. It says, "Let the strong take care of the weak. Let the weak respect the strong. Let the rich man minister to the poor man. Let the poor man give thanks to God that he gave him one through whom his need might be satisfied." And that's our show for tonight. Remember to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/ancientfaithtoday. Share out our program after that's posted. Give us your feedback and contact us with any ideas or topics that you might want to hear about. Have a blessed Thanksgiving and join us next Tuesday evening for another edition of Ancient Faith Today. Good night, everybody.